Hello friends, welcome to the TheLawTog. My name is Rachel Brinke. I am the head photographer. I am the head photographer and lawyer here at TheLawTog, the go-to legal resource for photographers. We have weekly lives and podcasts, blog videos, resources, the group, contract template forms, you name it. We are here to help you guys through your photography business to get it to success, to avoid the legal issues, especially now during COVID. Today we're going to talk about mitigating some of the risks that we're seeing. I mean, we've been hearing about it for how many months? The risks of COVID, social distancing, wear masks, got to do this, can shoot, cannot shoot, certain amount of people. But what I want to hone in today is the risk that we should actually be shifting to our clients now when it comes to them wanting to cancel or reschedule due to COVID. I mean, we get into a point that everyone knows what it is. It's impacting all areas of our lives. And so we just need to stay ahead of things a little bit. We're going to dig into that. But before we do that, I just want to give a little background as to me before you hear my recommendations. What I'm going to say is, yes, I am an attorney. I am a practicing attorney. I have a law firm. I love that. I do photography. I've been a photographer for how many years? I do a lot of the photography for my business consulting clients because I also have my MBA. And so when I'm bringing this information to you all, it's not from a place of I'm an ivory tower sitting up here pointing down at you as this great, amazing lawyer, which hope to like to think I am pretty good, but I am saying this information and giving it to you very specifically so that you can avoid issues, spend less time, money, and energy on the legal stuff in your business, because let's be real, who are the only ones that win when there's a problem? The lawyers, and we don't want it to be like that. And I'm a mom of 5. I want to be able to spend time with my business, spend time with my family, doing the things I want in my life, and really not having to clean up legal problems. So when I bring all this information, it's preventive measure. It's preventive things that you can do immediately in order to be able to prevent these problems, because it's not if there's going to be a problem, it's going to be when. Let's take, for example, and this is going to be probably one of the top questions out of today's episode is, what about my existing contracts? Were they good enough for COVID or were they not? If you had contracts drafted with TheLawTog or myself at my law firm, Eden Law, we already had contemplated for a broad variety of situations. So we already included in our templates, in our contracts, to have reschedules, cancellation, and force majeure provisions. If you want more information on how that directly applies to the COVID situation, we have an entire dedicated COVID page at TheLawTog, thelawtog.com/COVID. There's another video that can walk you through all of that, different situations, how it applies, how to explain it to your clients, how to use it. So if you have a contract from TheLawTog, or if you grab one today, it's going to have all of that language. What I'm wanting to shift a little bit to here is, keep in mind, those contracts not only were able to help during COVID, but they're for also non-COVID times. We have been dealing with COVID, and some more than others, and I send peace and love to your family. I hope that everything is getting better. I hope that we're going to eventually be able to come out of this to this new normal, but in the interim, we as business owners, we have to do what we need to do to protect us. And where we're at now is most places, and I say generally speaking because it depends on where you're listening in from, which, by the way, now's a good time for me to throw out my little legal disclaimer. I'm a United States-based attorney. I'm licensed in multiple states. I am an attorney, but I'm not your attorney unless you want me to be, which we can chit-chat, so send me a DM after you listen to all of this. But pretty much where we're at, especially in the United States, everything is pretty consistently, it's either open or the mandates and the guidances that we've had have been fairly consistent, even despite this uptick in the Delta variant. And by the way, my perspective is coming at this 100% on making it easy on you. It is not political in any nature. It is not my opinion. It is the legal advisement, the legal review that I'm seeing of things that you can easily implement into your business. So what do I very specifically want to bring to you today? We are how many months into this, right? And we're to the point that everyone knows about COVID. Our clients do. I don't think you could find a single person that hasn't heard about it or knows that it's impacting events, activities, business, everything, schools, you name it, all right? But one thing that we have started to see is that clients are just jumping into, especially when it comes to wedding and event photography that's not easily rescheduled, clients are jumping into contracts with photographers, not even thinking about the fact that their venue may not be available because of COVID. Who knows what the venue is going to do, without any concern of understanding what the mandates may be. There might be a restriction on number of people, so then the event can't happen. And they're relying, they being the client, is starting to rely on this idea of, well, I'll just cancel and get everything back because if it's mandated or if it's because of COVID, photographer doesn't need to be protected. Photographer won't retain anything. I'm not worried about it. Now, again, if you already have the TheLawTog contracts and have one drafted from me, we always have a non-refundable initial payment in there, as well as the rescheduling, cancellation, and force majeure provisions. But one thing that I want to bring to the forefront here to think about, and there's two major situations. One, you might already have existing executed contracts that have no shift in the risk of cancellation to the client. I'll explain what that means in a second. Or two, you're getting ready to get into contracts with clients moving forward. Quick timeout on this. When I say contracts, I'm referring to services contract. This is the main core photography contract that is the client is hiring you, the photographer, for the services. So that is the one that's going to create the entire legal relationship. It's going to outline the expectations. It's going to protect you. It's going to protect the client. All right. But like I mentioned, many clients are getting into contracts. They're reaching out to photographers. They're planning weddings and they're like, well, let's just go full steam ahead, which I can understand because we can't live our lives, right? Thinking that every day something's going to be shut down. We're not going to be able to do anything. You got to plan as though it's not going to happen, but also plan for contingencies. Problem is, many clients aren't planning for contingencies. They're just putting the risk on you, the photographer. So what does this look like? These clients are getting into relationships, in the contractual relationship with you. We don't know what's going to happen, but then all of a sudden, you know, if there's a mandate, someone in the wedding party is sick, they're sick, you're sick, and the clients are thinking they can just get 100% of their monies back. Never mind the fact that you and the photographer has done the consultation, you've scheduled the day, you've turned away other business, you probably have done an engagement session, you've done pre-planning work, all these things that you should be compensated for, which, if you guys have listened to me for any amount of time, we always really try to connect everything I just listed to that non-refundable initial payment. But as you get closer to an event, it's less like you're going to be able to rebook it. And so, and by the way, this event could be a time-sensitive event like a wedding or a corporate event or a birthday party, or it could just simply be a photography session that's not really able to be rescheduled, right? We're thinking about something that is not really flexible here. And so what ends up happening is these clients are demanding back 100%. We are seeing this so much in the TheLawTog Facebook group. By the way, if you're not in it, you need to jump into it. It's got years of information. We have a wonderful admin team as well as myself that come in to try to answer questions and guide everybody to the information that you need to have. But we are seeing this common question. So this is what we want to do. We have dropped a new resource that you guys can utilize, and it's going to cover the two situations I've already mentioned, and I'll walk through them again here in a second. But essentially, we want to shift the risk of cancellations and or reschedules, but primarily cancellations for like these time-sensitive events. We want to shift the risk onto our clients. Now, yes, you could have had this in your initial contract, depending on where you got it from, which, P.S., we just started a level up program. If you don't have our contracts, it's kind of like the whole Target car seat trade and sales event. Send your receipt to us, not the contracts. Just send us the receipt and we'll give you a credit that you can put towards the TheLawTog. But anyhow, so if you already have contracts that cover you for this type of situation where it's putting the risk on the client, either by saying no cancellations at all, or if there's a cancellation due to a very specific event, such as mandate, like a governmental mandate or proof of sickness or something like that, then maybe you, the photographer, gets to choose, do you want to allow for a reschedule in a certain amount of time? So that's what we've done. We have dropped this client acknowledgement of risk form, and actually two things. It has a form, or also there's a copy and paste of the provision you can stick into your existing contract that replaces your existing reschedule and cancellation policies. Essentially, if you are in the mindset, and I'm with you, if this is what you want to do for your business, this is what I'm here for. If you want to say to your clients, hey, you understand, I want you to acknowledge that COVID is existing, that we may not be able to have your wedding, and all the risk is going to be on you. Right? So there will be no cancellations and there will be no refunds of money. There's a little asterisk to that, and I'll explain a little bit here in a second. But again, two main situations that we're looking at. Either you have executed contracts and you're wanting to amend that existing contract, or you're getting ready to get into new contracts with clients and you're wanting to protect yourself. Now, the question's going to be, should I allow for reschedules if it's due to like a COVID situation? Which, by the way, COVID situation could equal there's actually symptoms or potential contact or governmental mandate. There's a whole list, and we contemplate it all in this document or in the provision, whichever option you end up using. But you want to make sure that you choose what's best for your business. And that's why we're providing this available to you, and this information here is that I want you guys to be prepared. I want you to shift the risk onto clients, because let's be real. We are at this point in pandemic that they know the issue's going to go down. It has been going down for so long. You shouldn't be bearing the financial risk of this. You should not be bearing the administrative risk or the financial risk, the emotional risk on this. The client needs to put a little skin in the game. So that's one thing that we really want to bring to the forefront. Now, keep in mind, there's other COVID workings that we need to think about. You need to have your policies in place in regards to wherever you're living. If you want to apply CDC guidelines, like for social distancing, indoors, outdoors, masks, all that sort of stuff. So just keep in mind that we are still in this. Even though everything may seem almost normal, depending on where you live, we still need to be being on the up and up for our business. So you take, and like I say, for everything, whether it's contracts or trying to resolve a client issue or even like this COVID stuff, take the baseline of what's legally required. Take also what you would like to do and then work with that. That's the baseline that you work from. And then you need to communicate that and boil it all down into legal documents, right? So like this, we're going to have the client acknowledgement of cancellation risk. Basically, if you're one that wants to say, hey, fine, you can book me as your wedding photographer, but if we cancel due to COVID, no such luck, bud. There's not money coming back to you. You're assuming. The client is very specifically going to assume the risk here and kind of shift it off of you a little bit. And I think that's really important that we as photographers, we as small businesses, because by the way, you photographers are not the only ones that are seeing this, not the only industry. In fact, the whole wedding industry is kind of seeing this, but other services-based businesses are running into the same thing. So I would love for you guys to dig in and figure out, pull out your contracts. This is what I want you to do. Here's a little bit of homework for you. When we get off of here, I want you to pull out your contracts and I want you to go through and read, what does the reschedule provision allow for? What does the cancellation provision allow for? And what does force majeure provisions say? Keeping in mind, and I've talked about this at length in other episodes, force majeure only really helped us out for a very sliver of time in the United States last year. Very small amount of time. For the most part, most contracts at the time were controlled by reschedule and cancellation. So pull it out, take a look at your reschedules and cancellations and say, okay, is this the policies that I still want to have in light of the fact this pandemic is going on and on? And friends, can you believe it is almost 2022 and we're still talking about this, right? So I just want you to buckle in, settle down. This is not fun, sexy stuff on this Wednesday, but do it. Just carve out 10-15 minutes when we get off of here, take a look at that, and then decide, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't want to allow for any reschedules due to COVID. Maybe I don't want to allow, if they do cancellations, how I want the monetary risk to fall. Then you can always jump over and grab our client acknowledgement of risk form or take it to your local attorney to have them boil that down and get it adjusted for you. So just know, we are all in this together. We are still going at it. You have options. Don't feel like you're stuck where you are at. And I think that's pretty much everything for this week. As always, please give us feedback on what you would like to hear and what you would like to see. This, for me, really was an encouragement for you all to stand up, be the leader in your business to your clients. You know, you get to set the bar. You are the business owner. If you don't want to allow reschedules, don't allow reschedules, right? And do the things that you need to do to protect yourself and to shift the risk to the client if you need to. Now,